Welcome back to Sports Zone video. Hello everyone. I have a question. Have you ever got injured? I think it's really painful, right? Today I'm gonna give you some tips to get, if you get injured, so at least you will get better if you follow these tips. Okay, are you ready? Let's go.
While staying active can keep you healthy, there's always a risk of injury. So how do you minimize the pain of strains and sprains? RICE it. Rest, ice, compression, elevation. Rest the injured area, and no weight-bearing activities for a day or two. Ice the area for 48 to 72 hours before applying heat. Wrap it in an elastic medical bandage, not too tightly. Elevate the injured body part above heart level to reduce swelling. Next time you get hurt, RICE it.
Okay, well then, that is the RICE method. RICE stands for rest, ice, compress, and elevation, but not RICE for it. Remember that. Okay, we're gonna see you again next week on the Friday in the Sports Zone video. Goodbye. Thank you.